One of the things you said on the research that I was finding, that you suffered from anxiety and depression because you felt you didn't really understand where your journey, like the journey of understanding yourself and finding your purpose. So maybe just talk through a little bit of what you were suffering, and sort of how you managed yourself and found that purpose, which I believe, when I see the things you've done now that you're doing now, you found really your purpose of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we kind of touched on it that it's not like I went to school. I had a dream, a vision, and I went to school and I knew what that was and I was working towards it. And that's kind of how I had always been taught, right? I grew up with a blueprint. First, you're going to go to high school, then you're going to go to college, then you're going to graduate, then you're going to get married, then you're going to have two kids. Like this is the life you're going to have because that's what the blueprint looks like. But there was no blueprint from a career standpoint.
Right.
And so I very much felt like I was always just going to whatever role I was in and stepping in and just doing whatever needed to be done.
Yeah.
Um, and that didn't feel intentional. It didn't feel like oh, I'm really good at this or I'm really good at that. It was, I just do what needs to be done. And so I spent a lot of time really trying to piece together, like, how do all those things fit together? Like, how do you go from printing to mud to tech to project management? And I realized it, for me, it was really around the communication. It was really around that alignment piece. And all of the things I was doing were just tools to create that communication and that alignment. Um, and I had a lot of, worth issues tied to that. I've got, a backstory of a father that left when I was very young, the pivotal 7-year-old age and all of those sorts of things. But I had really closely tied my self-worth and my identity to my success. And so but what I learned is there's never enough, right? It doesn't matter. Like I literally remember one day after being CEO, standing in our biggest client, and I mean big client, in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror and just crying and going, I made it and I still feel like a failure. And I think that was kind of the breaking point for me, where I was like, I got to do something about this. This isn't okay. And so, therapy, lots of books, uh, getting quitting doing things because I thought other people needed or wanted me to do them. So um, being entangled in other people's stuff rather than letting them know I'm here to love on them and support them, but I'm not going to do it for them. I was entangled in a lot. And so all of those realizations to really step back and say, okay, like, God created me for a purpose. What is that? What is that thread or that theme that runs through everything I've done? And where do I find joy in what it is that I do? And so, one of those things we talked about earlier, I make my list of, here's all the things that need to get done. And as I'm assessing what should I delegate and what should I delete, I'm like, what on this list do I hate doing? And who do I know that likes doing these things? And so that's been a huge, just makes different, because instead of feeling like, oh, well, I have to do this, I'm the entrepreneur, I have to do this, I'm looking at the list and I'm going, I hate doing this, but Pam loves doing this. And so I'm giving her a gift when I let her do those
Yeah.
things, and she's giving me a gift. And so, like, we sit here and I'm always like, I love you, Pam, I love you, or I love you, Lee, because I'm not unhappy, I'm not doing stuff that I don't have to do. And so um
So
I
you're
don't know.
no, 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 thank you for sharing so honestly. I'm just interested. So when you were standing there and you were upset that you had success, but it meant nothing, there was a hollowness to it. Did you get out of there? Did you quit? Did you have a moment? Because we often find um there's a trigger point for people. So I had a trigger point as well when I left you can hear on my previous podcast, when I left corporate to do this, there was a trigger point for that. And other people I've spoken to, they got ill or they broke their leg, or there was some point where they had a break or chose to have a break to do that sort of self work, that to work on that. So was there a trigger point, or was it over a period of time that was the trigger point?
Yeah, I knew something wasn't right, right? Because there was that, like, constant unhappiness and frustration and just feeling stressed to the max all of the time. And so I found Jesus and religion, and had really gotten involved and engaged in my church and through C12 and all of those sorts of things. And so was doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying. And I literally I had this moment. I was sitting out, we had just moved to a house with this beautiful lake. And I was just sitting out on the lake. And I literally had an audible, like God speaking to me moment. And he goes, step out of the boat. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. He's like, I got you. Do it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how we're going to pay the bills. But it was just such a sense of peace. And it was just such a like, this is the right step. This is the right next thing. And I would say within probably 5 to 7 days, I had 3 $80,000 contracts lined up. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, this is right. This is it. And so I did it. I went in and I said, all right, like, I just feel like I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore. And I'm going to move on. And then literally the day after I said that, 2 of the 3 contracts backed out.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, wait. But it was perfect just the way that it happened, because I would have probably drowned if I was trying to do all 3 contracts at once. Right. And so it all worked out exactly how it was supposed to.
So your first endeavor was with Trellis, where you're a co-founder, which is enabling business owners exit. So it's a really interesting area in the sense of helping businesses exit and it's a lot of, especially tech, there's people that start businesses, garage, whatever, shoestring, and their idea is that in 3-5 years they exit. How did you sort of help people do that to be able to get that exit and make that exit satisfactory for the entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I actually partnered up with a gentleman who had been in that industry already, and he engaged with me because of my tech background and because of my process background. And he wanted to build a platform that would allow business owners to kind of go on a self-guided journey where they could assess what it is they wanted out of their business, how their business is valued, and then to make a decision about whether they were ready to exit or not. And so the first couple of years was just all around identifying like what is the process, right? What is the journey? And then the second piece was, well, what are buyers looking for so that I can increase the value in the company? And so most of my work was in understanding why and how people think, and building that out into a system and into a process that could be kind of a self-guided journey with different educational resources, and then different advisors that would get recommended along the way. And so that platform is now up in beta form, and it's a pretty cool little tool. Yeah.
And